The Filipino American Cancer Care now brings you On the Air with FACC, tributes and support to those impacted by cancer. On the Air with FACC, the Filipino American Cancer Care on PHLV Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Josie Moralidad Zaiman of the Filipino American Cancer Care. Good morning sa ating mga kababayan sa Pilipinas. It's Friday once again. Thank God it's Friday once again. And it's a very busy Friday for me. I just finished the Christmas caroling with our guest singing artist from Montreal, Canada. But tonight, I would like to welcome my co-host, from Lorton, Virginia, we have Ed Logan. Hi, Ed.
Hey, Josie. Hi, everyone. Good morning in the Philippines to our viewers and listeners, and of course here in the U.S., whether it's in Las Vegas, Texas, here in the East Coast. Good evening, and again, it's our honor to have another special guest tonight that will share her cancer journey. So Emmerich, I miss you guys. I know you guys been busy with the caroling, the Christmas, spreading the cheers in terms of this holiday season. But we're here, always on top of every Friday, by hook or by crook. We have a show.
Mm-hmm. From the heart of Maryland, the debonair Emmerich Vicente.
The debonair, wow. Well, good evening, America. Good evening, everybody, and good morning, Philippines. Welcome again to the most exciting show on a Friday night and Saturday morning in the Philippines. And we're here to learn a lot more about this big C, this cancer, and educate a lot of our audience tonight. I'm really excited for our guests, so I can't wait, but let's go.
Okay, but before we introduce our special guest tonight, she's going to share her cancer journey. Ed, we are running out of lantern kits. A lot of people are asking if they can buy lantern kits.
We still have, I still have few, 10 to 15 in my garage. So we can still supply. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's go to our special guest. She is a 3-time cancer survivor. Wow. Motivational speaker. Wow. Community servant, and fitness enthusiast. She recently began her own nonprofit to give back to the young adult cancer community by hosting an annual event called Marcuritas. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Correct my pronunciation with that. Oh yes, she is married to her high school sweetheart with a 16-year-old son. She does not even look like to me a mother. She looks like a 25-year-old college or a...
Still in college.
Yeah, look at her. And she does not even have makeup right now.
Yeah, true beauty.
Natural beauty.
Yes.
She's
an alumna of University of Texas at Arlington and passionate about sharing the importance of fitness and wellness. We're going to learn more about that tonight, and I'm going to be very inspired. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Candice Stennett. Hi, Candice.
Yeah, hey.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give you my first question, because since I came on late and I didn't have able to chat with you, if you can tell me a little bit about yourself. Were you born? How many siblings you have and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I am Candice Stinnett. I was born and raised here in the States
Oh,
in Fort Worth, Texas. Um, Grew up here and went to elementary, middle school, high school, and college here in the Dallas Fort Worth area in Texas. And I have three sisters. We're all born in May.
oh wow. Is any
Yeah.
one of them May 29?
No, but I'm the closest. I'm May 23rd. Are you May 29th?
Yes, I am.
Hey! You're a Gemini.
Gemini.
Yeah, so May is a big month for us, just like
Wow.
December. Everyone, it's like Christmas in May
Mhm.
for us. But yeah, I have a son who just started driving. He just turned 16 a few
Wow.
months ago, and
Only one?
just one, yes.
Mhm.
And been married to my high school sweetheart
Uh-huh.
since, God, we've been together since I was 17, and
My gosh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I know a lot of work and a lot of life experiences together. So
Wow.
yes, I'm very, very honored and blessed to know y'all and talk with you today. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me on.
Candice, what is it like to be married with your high school sweetheart?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, and you said earlier, there's a lot of work. Hey, you know what? I don't know what relationship that doesn't have any work.
Oh yes, I know. I mean, every relationship has work. With our kids, with our friends, with our siblings, with
Yep.
our parents. And so, I mean, we were actually talking, gosh, a few months ago about how I've known him for more than half my life.
Wow.
And it's when
It's
we
like your soulmate.
yes, and we, it's definitely been, we've been through a lot, like, cancer being one where he was my caretaker, and just experiencing so many things. And you just really have to remember that this is your best friend, and to really, really commit to what you started in the first place, and remembering that.
Yeah, that's a very good
Well,
point.
Candice, I'll do a follow-up question. So, since I know you through a group in the Young Cancer Survivor Network, because I've been diagnosed of cancers 5 years ago, right? Being in that age demographic, it was good to find a network of support within that young cancer support. So, if you don't mind, just walk a little bit, summarize like how you were first diagnosed with cancer, what was like in that moment, if you can do some
Yeah.
recollection, walk us with, so that our listeners can hear about it. So
Yeah. How did you learn about your cancer diagnosis?
how old are you at that time? So
Yes. So you know how we notice the most smallest changes with our body,
Mhm.
especially physically. And I noticed just a small lump on the side of my neck one day while I was at work. It was pretty small, but you notice those really, really small changes about your body because you see and feel your body every single day. And so I was just thinking to myself, what is this? It's not there, but maybe it'll go away, right? Because maybe it'll go away. And after a few days and after a few weeks, I talked to the people that I was working with, and I asked them, what is this right here? It won't go away. It's been here for a few weeks. And it was a lump on the side of my neck. And they said, oh, it's probably a cyst. I've had one of those before. It'll go away. And then I thought to myself, okay, yeah, you're probably right.
Okay.
And then I didn't know it at the time, but it was a lymph node. And then all of the lymph nodes around my jawline started getting bigger and bigger, but it was during the holidays. This was so around this time in 2007.
2007.
And yeah, and again, I didn't know that they were my lymph nodes, but they just started growing more around my jawline. And because your lymph nodes are mainly in your neck area, your underarm area.
Your armpit, yes.
Yes, yes. And I was 21. I didn't really know much about
You were very young.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, I'm young, I'll be fine, right?
Mhm.
There's, what's the worst that it is? And so then all of the lymph nodes around my jawline just started growing more as well. And I just thought, again, with it being the holidays, oh, well, I'm just gaining weight, because I just thought that I was just gaining weight in my, neck area.
Yeah.
So just really anything, just making up any
Excuses.
Or just trying to justify anything, because, what's the worst that could happen? Well, then my sisters and I were opening gifts at my dad's house, and my sisters looked at me from sitting on the side of me, and they touched the underside of my neck, and they were just pretty large nodules, which were my lymph nodes. And they said, Candice, you need to go to the doctor. I don't think that that's fat. I think that just go get it checked out. So I went to the doctor, and they said, they really didn't do much, but they said, oh, it's flu season. Whenever you get sick, your lymph nodes swell to fight off the infection. Here's some anti-inflammatory and some antibiotics. And they sent me on my way. Mm-hmm. And so I took those for just a day or two, because they were just making me sick, because it wasn't obviously the medicine that my body needed. Mm-hmm. And so then I just thought, okay, well, I'll just ignore it for, maybe it'll go away. Well, they just continued to get larger and larger. So I finally went back to the doctor, and they set me up with a X-ray and then a CT scan and then a biopsy. And so that's when my whole journey with the big C word began.
Wow. And when the doctor told you about it, did you tell your family right away, or did you keep it for a little while to yourself?
So actually, whenever they were doing all the tests, the X-rays, and setting me up for the biopsy, and then scheduling me for the CT scan, he mentioned, the doctor mentioned, this may be lymphoma. And again, I was 21 years old. To be honest, I didn't even know what lymphoma was.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know what it was. And to me, I just thought it was something similar to pneumonia.
Right.
And because I just didn't know.
Yeah. You're 21. You're probably like, that's a stomach ache.
Yes. And to me, I was just like, will you just remove all of this stuff from my neck? Right. Because it is so gross and ugly, and I have to get ready for summer. Okay.
Yeah. And you think you're very healthy, huh?
Yes. And that was the other thing. So I think that my initial response would have been different if he had said cancer, but he said lymphoma. So I left the doctor. I called my husband and I said, hey, he said something about lymphoma. And so he got on Google search, and he searched, and he goes, Candice, it says that lymphoma is cancer. And that's when I was like, there's no way. Only old people get cancer. There's no way.
Were you in a state of denial?
Exactly. Yes. I was in denial. There's no way that this can happen to me. And also, I'm too young for this. There's no way that that's even a possibility. Yeah. But they had the biopsies, and then whenever they gave me the results of the biopsies, they confirmed it. And to answer your question, it was at that time, my mom and my sisters and really my family were kind of reaching out to their friends and family, extended family. And of course, I was sharing my experience at that time on MySpace. That was the big thing.
That was very popular back then.
MySpace. Yep. That's me too.
And I was just kind of sharing my experience. Because, you kind of want to ask friends, like, have you ever been through this? Have you ever heard of this? And so they, of course, want to keep updated with it, with how you're doing. And so, I did. I shared it with everyone because everyone was anticipating those results anyways. And so, and they were praying for me and, you know, sending me their love and asking me if I needed anything. And so whenever those results did come back, I think I was kind of reclusive for the first day or two.
Mhm.
I really didn't know myself what the future entailed. But yes, I did share it with others. And just for me personally, I'm glad that I did because like I tell everyone, where I am today is not because of me. It's because of everyone around me, my friends, my family. When I didn't have strength, they were my strength. When I felt like I didn't have love for myself because of what I looked like, they poured so much love into me. And so for me, they were the reason why I was able to heal and was able to get out of bed the next day.
That was very important, you know, the support group.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So Candice, you said 2007, so I know it's a little bit longer journey again. So when was the second time around that you were diagnosed again, and what's like, you know, what year it was, and then what, you know, what you felt that moment again in that second?
Or how many years is the gap between the first one and the?
Yeah. So in a nutshell, that all of my symptoms happened in the end of 2007. And so I got my exact diagnosis in February of 2008. And I had the 6 months of chemotherapy. And 6 months after all of my treatment, so after I finished my treatment, 6 months after, I was just driving one day from Oklahoma to Texas because I have a lot of family that lives in Oklahoma. And it was late at night and I rested my elbow on the steering wheel and I just kind of put my hand under my chin just to kind of prop up my chin because it was late at night. I was kind of tired. And I felt a little nodule, something that wasn't there, you know, either a week prior or the last time that I had touched my neck. And that's when I started the testing and notified my oncologist, and they did a scan and they showed that it had come back. So from the first time to the second time, it was a 6-month gap. And at that time they said, okay, well, we have to go through more invasive, more intense treatment. And that was a stem cell transplant, which are you familiar with a stem cell transplant?
Yes.
As well in 2016 in Hopkins. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
explain it a little bit to the viewers and how a stem cell works, because in the Philippines, Candice, they're still catching up with treatments of new innovative.
We're behind.
Yes, it's good for our listener to hear. And if you can explain it a little bit. So.
Yes, absolutely. So, and me being, 22 years old, those are just scary words because I thought stem cells, transplant, what do you mean? What even is that? What is that like? And so really with a stem cell transplant, you need a donor and a recipient. So stem cell transplants are most common with blood cancers and blood disorders. So since lymphoma is a blood cancer, I have disease in my bone marrow, my blood. And so you have to have a donor to donate their fresh, healthy stem cells to the recipient.
Wow.
And then all of the donors' healthy, strong stem cells, go into the recipient and grow new blood. And then, of course, that's after a lot of chemotherapy to where it kills off the disease cells.
Is that a long process?
It is only because they want to give you a lot of chemotherapy and it's much more harsher chemotherapy because they want to make sure that they not only
out.
Yeah, they it was about 3 months of chemotherapy, and then the extraction from the stem cell donor.
Mm-hmm. How did you find your donor?
So actually, whenever that cancer did come back, they did search in the States, and I think it is international. It is internationally, yes.
Yes.
So internationally, anywhere in the U.S., you can join the marrow donor program, which is where you can sign up to be a marrow donor or a stem cell donor. They're pretty much the same, but because our stem cells are in our bone marrow.
Okay.
So, you can join that registry, and the doctors, everyone at the hospital utilizes that system. So they would just take a swab of my mouth and put it into, I guess, their system, however they kind of
the database and find a match.
Yeah, and search for matches that way. But during my second bout, so whenever it came back, they did that, and they showed that the closest match was a 75-ish% match. And my oncologist did not recommend that I go with that just because of the complications and the possible rejection of the donor because it not being a good
unrelated donor. Basically, that's unrelated, correct, Candice?
Yes.
So did you check your related donors, meaning, for example, your sisters, right? So did they reach out, and how is that?
Yeah, so they did. There's so many moving parts. There's to really finding a donor. So yes, they did ask. I have 3 sisters. And so they did ask for them to check and see if they would be able to be a match for me. None of my sisters were a match. And so I asked my mom, am I really your daughter?
Right. He started asking. He's like, wait a minute. Why do we not match?
Am I adopted? What's going on? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, none of my 3 sisters were a match. And so then they did check the registry, the donor registry. There was that one match, which actually was international. They didn't tell me what country they were from, but that one donor, which was the 75% match, they were international. And my oncologist recommended that I just go ahead and try a transplant with my own cells. And that may seem, did you have an auto transplant or did you have an allo transplant?
I have allo because they found out my biological brother is half match only. At that time, they recommended blood cords from the babies because at that time, immunotherapy is not available for my type of leukemia because it's Philadelphia plus lymphoblastic leukemia. So that treatment of the 2015 is not available. That's why they recommend traditional stem cell with the related donor. So.
Okay. Yes. So I had I wasn't able to, my oncologist recommended that I do a stem cell transplant with my own cells. And so that may seem kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Weird.
Yeah.
How can you do it? Right?
I have cancer, so this doesn't seem like that it would work because I have cancer and you're wanting to take my own cells and reimplant them in my body. But the way that he described it was I would get a lot of chemotherapy for 3 months, and then that would hopefully kill all of the cancerous cells in my bone marrow. They would extract them, give me more chemotherapy, and then while they're harvesting my own stem cells, they would implant them back into my body. So we did that.
That's a lot of things to handle.
Yes, it was. Yes.
So I guess that will lead Candice to the third journey. So if you can give that now, because you build
You're a 3-time cancer survivor.
So
Yeah.
when is this third time that
Yes.
went through, because you did try your own stem cell, right? So then what happened to this third time? It's a charm, they call it, right? So
Yes, third time's a charm. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had my stem cell transplant with my own cells, and then I had my checkups every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And on my 1 year checkup, I was so excited because I had not reached a year remission. Because
Wow.
previously I had,
Yes.
it was 6 months,
Mhm.
and on my year checkup and scan, my oncologist came in, and usually I knew that there was something different because he usually came in with the scan results and said, "Oh, everything's fine. Why are you here?
Wow,
You're
that
good."
makes sense.
Yeah, and so, but that time he came in and he said, "So how are you feeling?" And I was like, "Okay, something's up." Yes, because it was just different the way that he approached me. And so that's when he had told me that the the autologous, we call it auto for short, but the autologous stem cell transplant had failed, and it had showed some activity in the scan that I had just had.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So,
And
and
how-
then at that time, Candice, from a lifestyle, so you're married, and then do you have the kids at that time already or not yet? Because, a lot of the young cancer patient or survivor nowadays, those are the challenges that, we shared some of our lessons learned, right? So if you can give a little bit background on that as well for our listeners. So.
I did. When I was very first diagnosed, my son right now, who's 16, he was 3 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I was diagnosed for the third time, he was almost 5 years old.
Okay.
So, yes, I did have a young child, and it was really difficult because I thought, how do I navigate this? There's no handbook
Booklet.
on how.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do I, how do I? And I just did what I felt led to do, which was, instead of what I felt like I should do, which was, oh, let me just keep this from him. I don't want to traumatize him. I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I was just very open and communicative with him. And really, because they know more, and they're smarter than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was just, I'm going to the hospital to get I'm sick, and I'm going to the hospital to get my medicine. And, when my hair fell out, it was, well, the medicine that I'm taking makes my hair fall out. And really, to him, that was our normal,
Mm-hmm.
To him, my mom likes ice cream, and she has blue eyes, and she has no hair. What's the big deal?
So,
And-
Candice, what was the biggest parenting challenge during those times? Your kid was only 3 years old, and he was like a toddler, right?
Yes. So he was pretty young. The biggest challenge, I will say, is, as a mom, missing his activities at school and with the recreation center, like the sports that he was involved in.
Mhm.
That was the biggest struggle for me, was having to stay at home as opposed to being there, showing up, sitting in the stands and cheering him on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's already 9:30 in the evening here at the East Coast, and we're going to continue our interview with Candice Stennett. Now, Ed, would you like to introduce our guest singing artist tonight?
Yes, definitely. It is also my honor and my privilege to introduce our guest tonight to sing for everybody. So basically, he is a close friend of mine since seventh grade. So he is now currently based in Singapore. The band, his name is Ferdinand Labarda, but the band that he's part of is called Cool M. So the band's name was initially derived from the first letter of the name of the band lead vocalist, Mercy. That's his wife. Okay. But later they changed the definition of M to characterize the band more generally as R&B, jazz, pop, as a cool music, right? And the band was formed in the Philippines since 2004. Then later it took their music to Singapore on May 17, 2009, and then performing many events over there, whether it's weddings, engagements, anniversary, and other concerts as well. So one of the band's most prominent singing engagement were the British Club of Singapore during the anniversary celebration. And of course, they regularly perform as of today as well in Singapore. They usually perform by solo or duo or trio, a pioneered style in Singapore called electroacoustic, and a combination of acoustic and electronic beats, but can also perform with a full band consisting of drums, guitar, bass, and keyboard and vocalist. But because this month is Christmas holiday season, they will play a original song been composed by another friend of them. Please welcome Ferdy and the Cool M Band.
Cool.
Kung ang Pasko ay laging narito, anong sayang dulot sa isang katulad ko na ibabalik niya sa aking alaala mga sandali nung ako ay musmus pa, laging nag-aabang kay ninong at ninang tuwing Pasko. Lumalamig ang simoy Laging nag-aabang kay ninong at ninang, kay nanay at tatay, kay ate at kuya, kay tito at tita, kay lolo at lola tuwing Pasko.
Balik tayo dito sa ating programang On the Air with FACC. Emerich, you may have to explain it or translate it in English.
Oh wow! I don't
That's
have
my
this
challenge. Challenge.
I'll give a summary. So Candice, the song that was played a while ago is a original composition. It explained how this Christmas celebration is very unique because of the COVID-19, right? So it's really reminiscent some of the traditional of Filipino culture. But despite of this COVID-19, we still celebrate the Christmas in our own special way. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. Very beautiful.
Now, Emerich, it's your turn. Do you know,
Yeah.
Emerich, that Candice told us that her stepmom is a Filipino?
Yeah, I heard that towards the end. I want to hear about that and your stepmom. So
What
you're in
food?
Texas.
What Filipino food
Exactly.
is your favorite, Candice? Have you
Yeah, how
tasted-
often-
I'm putting you on the spot. But
Right.
that's a good segue for this next part two. So,
Exactly.
I will say that there is nothing that she has ever cooked that I haven't liked, but she is always cooking and always sharing y'all's culture and the foods that she, that her family makes. And she lived in California and then moved to Texas whenever she met my dad. But oh my gosh, the food is always amazing, and I'm always a big fan of it. So.
Do you remember which one is your favorite?
Oh gosh.
If you don't know the name, describe it to us. We can probably figure it out.
yes, you guess it.
You know what? It's been a while, but she always cooks these. It's with rice. I can't remember the name.
Is it a soup?
It is.
Is it like a soup?
Yes, it is.
Oh, arroz caldo.
Is it chicken in it or?
I can't remember, but
Yeah.
it's always just so good.
It's like a porridge.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
arroz caldo.
Because arroz in Spanish, it's rice.
Yeah.
And then, so that's
Rice soup.
rice soup, basically.
Yes.
But it has usually, traditionally, Filipinos would have chicken legs or thighs on that. And and they boil
Chicken
it
bones. Yeah.
endless. So it's really good. It's very tasty. Oh, good. I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I like the Filipino food better than American food. To be honest.
Sometimes it's too healthy, though. Sometimes it's too much.
Well, that's a good
on that
segue
food.
to now for my follow-up question, because we know in your bio you're a health wellness
Enthusiast, yes.
So
Mhm.
for our listener right now, since you had that cancer, so did it change your diet in terms of like food preferences, and how did you transition, or maybe prior to even cancer, you already have a healthy
Lifestyle.
Eating habit.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
So give us a little bit background on that.
Yeah, whenever people hear that I had cancer, they immediately say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "No, don't be sorry," because
Mhm.
I had to look at the positive in that. And for me, the positive was it's like cancer propelled me into a life of health and fitness and just feeding every cell in my body with positive energy, positive foods, nutritious foods, and just being active, because before cancer, my life lacked diet, discipline, and exercise. And I just, cancer did that for me because I was so determined to never be on a hospital bed again. I never wanted to be sick again. And everything that I can control was what I put into my body, and, managing the stress in my life. So yeah, it was because of cancer that I, dove in headfirst on educating myself on how to be healthy and to be mindful of all things wellness, like meditation and stress management, and just taking care of myself.
Who motivated you or inspired you?
It was my motivation and first of all, first and foremost, I wanted to be able to live to see the day. I'm going to get emotional, but I wanted to live to see the day to watch my son walk down the aisle with his bride.
Mm-hmm.
That was my motivation.
Why?
Yes.
Yeah. That's a big why.
Yes, and then, my drive was, I was just determined to, again, like I said, just do everything in my power to make that happen. And, I knew that I didn't eat healthy. I knew that I went and ate fast food. And I'm not saying that had any link to the cancer. I'm not saying that at all, but just, again, anything that I could do in my power to be healthy, to have an energetic body, to have a disease-free, active, energetic, strong body. Like, I purposely made that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So from that point, is that where or when Margaritas came about?
Yeah. So, and it's been 10 years since I had cancer. And I've ran in marathons and I've participated in, triathlons just to be healthy and challenge myself. And also, when I went through cancer, there was no one my age. I always felt so alone because every time I went to go get treatment, it was always people that were the ages of my
50.
Yes. And
or the kids, Candice. Remember how our demographics, that's why I think we connected through this network. We're trying to find this demographic. If you have kids and your same age, how can you relate? And that's why we're trying to find at least a support system, right?
Yes.
So let's give that a little bit more explanation. So
we want so badly to feel like we're not alone.
Yes.
And I felt so alone because I didn't know anyone that was my age that was going through the same thing.
Even though we have a good family support system, right? And a church, or it's just weird. It's hard to explain to.
Yes, I had I had my family support. I had my friend support. I was going to my church friends. Everyone were so amazing and loving and supportive, but you just want someone who's just going through it with you. And so I would Google 23-year-old with cancer, I just Googled anything to just find someone my age that was going through the same thing.
And have a conversation.
Yeah, just so I could relate, just so we could share stories, just so we could empower each other.
Yes.
And so, that goes to say that, over the years, I really immersed myself into young adult cancer survivor programs like Stupid Cancer is one of them, First Descents, True North Treks, and just really networking with as many people as I can. So I could, what I went through, I wanted to help someone else,
Absolutely.
be better and have that support system that I didn't have. And that went to, to answer your question, the Margaritas. I wanted to also bring awareness to the fact that, yes, young adults do get cancer. And because people still think that it's a old people disease, and it's not. So just, I wanted to do something bigger and give back to the community. I think that, we get, that's what my passion is giving back and sharing my story and bringing awareness and just being, loving on my people, and my people are the young adult cancer community. So I wanted to I thought of, what is something that I could do? Just, I like events and being outside and hanging out and networking and having fun, maybe having a drink or two and eating and just.
That's the Gemini on us, guys. That's the Gemini on us. We want to be out and about, but,
having a good time. And so I don't know. I was just, I like I'm not I don't feel like I'm creative at all, but I was like, what is a good, fun pun that I could use that's like kind of cure cancer or whatever? And then all of a sudden one day I was at the gym and it just came to me, Marcuritas instead of margaritas.
Yeah.
Called Marcuritas, CURE, so cure. And then just have an annual event to where I raise money and give back to the young adult cancer community.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good collaboration for Filipino American Cancer Care for the next anniversary. When is the Margaritas anniversary, Candice?
Oh, so we host it annually every year during National Young Adult Cancer Survivors Week, which is the first week of April.
Perfect. Okay. And then margaritas, right? As long as there's margaritas, and then we will be there.
Yes.
No, that's amazing. And I'm sorry, I know Josie has a question.
Yes. So, Candice, where are you now in your cancer journey? Aside, of course, of putting up an organization, nonprofit organization.
I would say, so right now, it makes me emotional because I always looked to those milestones, striving to reach those milestones. Whenever I had first finished cancer treatment, I always was so eager to get to that 1 year in remission, 1 year cancer free. And then after I reached that, it was, oh, I can't wait to be 2 years cancer free and then 5 years cancer free. And then I just hit my 10 years cancer free in October. So 1 decade. Yes, it was a big, I guess, accomplishment for me in some sense, because the more milestones that, for me personally, the milestones that I reach, it just empowers me to continue to pour into and serve the young adult cancer community, to continue to feed my body with, healthy foods and wellness, and doing everything I can to stay healthy. And so I just reached 1 decade, which is still so weird to say because I always
It is weird, right? But that is like a lot of cancer patients and survivors always looking forward in terms of the milestones. As you mentioned, every little step is a form of celebration, but bigger milestone is really an impact. And I've been sharing emotionally in this radio program, my 5-year survivorship, where a lot, when I learned it through our network at Candice, that 5 years is really a big milestone. I can imagine the 10 years, right? So I'm just glad and very happy for you, Candice. And when I reached out to you, I said, we always invite any race of any ethnicity to really raise awareness of cancer. And that's why I felt your story really inspired. And I'm sure our people who listen to us tonight inspires them in terms of giving back to the community and then really being an educational awareness for cancer stuff. So thank you, Candice, for giving your time to us and sharing your story, your journey with us, your cancer journey. So.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I appreciate you. And yes, like you said, stories are, it gives hope to others, and it gives encouragement. It's like a bank of encouragement for others. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
One last question. What has cancer taught you about life?
Oh man. There's many things. One being one of the biggest things, because after cancer, I realized, facing that mortality, there's no telling how many days or months or years we have left to experience and to see this world. And so after I finished treatment, I became a participator instead of a spectator. And I began just exploring and experiencing as much as I can. Being like, for example, going to my son's school functions. I show up every single time. Just show up. There's only one time that you're able to experience that. And, also that, nothing in life happens to us. It happens for us. I really, again, not that I wanted to go through that, but for me, it allowed me to be really aware of my health and what my passions were, which was, serving people and being part of the community and sharing stories and meeting people and pouring into other people's struggles. No one relates with perfection. No one relates to that. Sharing the real and the raw stories of what we go through, that's what people relate to. And that's what really helps people through their struggle. I saw a quote one time. It said, "Our struggle is the survival guide for someone else." And
you hit the nail again, Candice. And on a radio show, we interview some of them are first time sharing their story, and that's why sometimes we give a pause for a little, because we know the raw and the vulnerabilities, and we appreciate again your authenticity and crying, right? When you said a while ago about seeing your son go to the aisle, and that's really a personal experience of many of our listeners, that they really connect with the people that we interview. And that's why, again, every stories that we featured here matters and give hope and inspiration for us.
Thank you, Candice. And now we have a special song from Emerich Vicente, specially dedicated to you.
Yes, Candice. So earlier, it's a Filipino Tagalog version of a song, and now it's a Filipino music, but it's going to be English, and it's similar to the culture of the Philippines. So you're gonna love it. The song is from Jose Marichan. The name of the song, the title of the song is "Christmas in Our Hearts." Whenever I see girls and boys selling lanterns on the streets, I remember the child in the manger as he sleeps. Wherever there are people giving gifts, exchanging cards, I believe that Christmas is truly in our hearts. Let's light our Christmas trees for a bright tomorrow where nations are at peace and all are one in God. Let's sing Merry Christmas
and a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we had for Jesus. Let him be the one to guide us as another new year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our hearts. In every prayer and every song, the community unite, celebrating the birth of our Savior Jesus Christ. Let love like the starlight on the first Christmas morn lead us back to the manger where Christ the child was born. So come, let us rejoice, come and sing the Christmas carol with one big joyful voice. Proclaim the name of the Lord. Let's sing Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we had for Jesus. Let him be the one to guide us as another new year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our heart. And a happy holiday. This season may we never forget the love we had for Jesus. Let him be the one to guide us as another new year starts. And may the spirit of Christmas be always in our hearts. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you to our special guests, Candice Stenet and Ed. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And Ellerich.
I'm glad that Ed, that you got connected with Candice, and you connected Candice to us, and this is really great.
And please check our Facebook page, Candice, Filipino American Cancer Care, because every night we have a Christmas carols.
Yeah.
Different singing artists from the Philippines and in the United States. And we have this fundraising event. We're trying to raise money for cancer victims in the Philippines and in the United States.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
Okay, so
Thanks,
see you
Johan.
again next week. Thank you, Johan of PHLV Radio, and Emmerich. You're going to have a concert, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a concert soon. But thank you, everyone. We will see you again next Friday. But watch us every night. Starts at 8:00 p.m. usually Eastern Standard Time.
Yes. And tomorrow, again, we have a Christmas caroling for the Filipino American Cancer Care. And this is going to last until December 24. Thank you, and bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Good night and good morning, Filipinas.
Thank you, Candice.
The Filipino American Cancer Care has just brought you On the Air with FACC, tributes and support to those impacted by cancer. On the Air with FACC, the Filipino American Cancer Care on PHLV Radio.